Hello again everyone and welcome to a new trading week. Given what transpired on Friday, I think it is only fitting that I start the week looking at Marin Software, ticker symbol MRIN. Basically, our online advertising enigma burst out of the blocks in a trading day that resembled the price action we saw during the crazy short squeeze days about a month ago, jumping from $6.46 at the open to hitting an intraday high price of $9.44, which is almost 50% up on the opening price. The stock then spent much of the remaining trading session around the mid $8 range, closing at $8.28 or up $1.82 or 28.17% for the day. There appears to be one major catalyst behind this crazy trading session, that being the much anticipated quarterly results that were released after the market closed. However, I suspect there may have also been an uptick in the short interest for this stock also. So in this video, I want to have a bit of a look at the results Marin Software released, do a little bit of a technical analysis of the trading action from the day, and look at the short interest. All this information will be used to allow me to speculate on what is going to occur this week with the stock and answer the question, are we indeed going back to the moon with Marin Software? But before I do that, I want to quickly mention something that I wouldn't normally say until the end, but I think is worth promoting from the start, given that many viewers tend to drop off partway through videos. That is, I've announced that I am planning on setting my channel up as a social enterprise going forward, with the idea being if and when the channel does become monetized, I want to move profits towards some causes which I am personally passionate about. So by watching and following the channel, people are helping to make a difference at no financial cost to themselves. I think it's a really good opportunity to use YouTube for good and make a difference to some causes which I feel passionate about. I'm sure many others do as well. So I encourage you to subscribe and be a part of that. With that out of the way, let's get into the trading update on Marin Software. Just to start with, here is a look at the trading pattern we saw during the day. We can see that the Marin Software stock spent the first half of the trading session basically trading upwards. I believe that most of this upward price action was anticipation around Marin Software releasing their June quarter results that afternoon, something that had been kept relatively hushed by the company prior to Friday. After peaking at $9.50 per share, the price dropped off a little and found a more normalized trading range around the $8.50 mark. Looking at the RSI, we can see that there was a lot of bullish sentiment, with the stock being overbought on numerous occasions through the day. We also see an instance of bullish divergence in the RSI, where the stock price rises despite going into oversold territory on the RSI. The stock did finish the session with price action along the lower of the Bollinger Bands, which had an increasingly narrowed range by the end of the day. This could symbolize an upward breakout could be occurring early in the next trading session. However, because there has been significant company news since then, aka the quarterly results, this does not make for a good indicator for which way the stock may go at open. Just for illustrative purposes, I have added the volume weighted average, or VWAP, to the chart. The stock price finished below this line, which can at least further indicate that a rise may be technically coming at the open of the next session. Again, like we said about the Bollinger Bands, because there has been significant company news since then in the form of the June quarter results, this does not make for a good indicator of which way the stock may go when it opens on Monday. One thing that has been pleasing to see is that the stock has again entered into the wide $7.60 to $12 price range that I was thinking it should be within, which is signified by this lower blue band. The upper blue band is off screen. While this range is wide, I believe that it will be redefined over the next few weeks as the market tries to settle where the stock should be valued following the release of the company's June results. And just really quickly, we can see that Friday's trade was a bit of a return to the heavily traded conditions that the stock hasn't seen for a few weeks, other than briefly on Wednesday the 21st of July. I would expect to see similar levels of trade volume at least on Monday. Now, given the market cap and the recent news results, we kind of actually have a bit of a recipe for another volatile day of trade, which we'll be exploring further throughout this video. Moving into a quick look at the release of financial results for the quarter. To start with, there was not a lot of change to the balance sheet other than a decent reduction in liabilities, particularly the current liabilities. Also in the investor call, it was mentioned that while the balance sheet says there was a net cash position of $14 million, the company actually has about $50 million in cash due to an equity raising that occurred at an opportune moment in July, therefore wasn't accounted for in the June quarterly results. As a result of the reduction in liabilities, as well as a moderate restructuring for the company, we do see improvement in expenses associated with their sales. The company actually beat their upper prediction in terms of revenues. Their upper estimate was for $6 million in sales, and they achieved $6.1 million for the quarter. So this is a positive sign for the company. While the company had an expectedly quieter quarter, they saw significant improvements to the expenses associated with their sales. As a result, there has been an increase in the overall gross profit in the last quarter, despite smaller sales, as well as a reduction in the loss per share compared to all comparable periods contained in this release. This is a positive sign for the company. It shows that they have been managing to cut back their costs of doing business and has hopefully set them on a trajectory to potentially having their first profitable quarter since before COVID. All things considered, the company seems to be on a good trajectory. Also, one thing that struck me in the call was that they mentioned only 23% of the company's revenues came from outside of the USA. This reflects that there is a very large addressable market for Marin Software that is yet to be realized. Even given the modest revenues the company has, there is a lot of potential for it going forward. Following the results call, there was a continued reduction in the stock price, with it being sold down to $7.06. While this does not look good from a momentum point of view, this is representative of a very low volume of trade, and I wouldn't take it to be a strong indication for what will come when Monday's session begins, especially given that the second half of the aftermarket session traded quite flat. Interestingly, with a market cap of $90 million and the fact that the company currently has $50 million in cash, which like I said before isn't reflected in the June balance sheet, but what this means is that owning the stock at the current price levels, especially at the aftermarket price, is probably quite an attractive prospect, given that for every dollar you own in the stock, the company has 5/9 of that just in cash. Checking in on the current shorting data for Marin Software, there has been a very high volume of short trading occurring in the back end of last week, with Friday being a particularly high day at 52.23% of all trading being short trades. Interestingly, the overall outstanding short position has reduced. What was 50% just a week ago is now down at 21.52%. Now 21.52% is still significant, and given the price action of Friday, there may be some pinch being felt for some of the current short position holders, especially given the still significant borrow rate of 65% per annum. Given the continued improvement in Marin Software results, the strong short interest and the momentum from Friday's trade, there could be another push for a short squeeze in this stock this week. I guess we will have to wait and see what transpires. So expectedly, this was not a profitable period for Marin Software. However, it was one that contained many areas of improvement. We saw continued improvement to the balance sheet and a good reduction in expenses on the income statement. The company has a lot of cash. We spoke about that they've got $50 million, even though the balance sheet only says $14 million, which they're currently holding, which gives them financial firepower for a lot of potential growth opportunities in the near future. Anyway, like I said, given the lack of analyst coverage and reporting for the stock, it is hard to gauge which way it will go when trade resumes on Monday. But for long-term holders of the stock, there are pleasingly signs of continued improvement from a company that has a lot of potential for future scale and growth. Anyway, what do you guys think? Will there be another short squeeze? Are you feeling optimistic about the outlook for Marin Software? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video useful or interesting, I would encourage you to leave a like. Also, if you want to see more Marin Software or other stock related content, I would encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. As I said at the start, I have announced that I'm planning on setting my channel up as a social enterprise going forward, with the idea being if and when it does become monetized, I want to move profits towards some causes which I, and I'm sure many others out there, feel passionate about. So just by simply watching my videos and following my channel, people are helping to make a difference at no financial cost to themselves. I think it's a great opportunity to use YouTube for good, so I encourage you to subscribe and be a part of all that. I will release a video in coming weeks that outlines some of the areas I want to direct support towards. Anyway, thanks for watching. I will see you all next time. May the markets trade in your favor, guys. Cheers.